Hey BookTube, my name is Juan, I'm just one reader, and welcome to my review and commentary on The Raven Boys, the first book of the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. Now, before I get on with the review, I just wanted to say a big thank you to a very nice person called Olive over at a Book Olive. She's a wonderful booktuber who just gave me a shout out in her channel, and since then I've been getting a lot of subscriptions. So thank you very much, Olive. You are the nicest person, and I'm really glad and hoping that people will get to see more of my content because of you. Thank you so much, Olive. And let's get on with the review. Also, I wanted to say thank you to Olive because in her video she made me realize I didn't even have a profile picture to my channel, which now I do. So, getting on with the review. Here's the thing. Oops, sorry if the camera moves. I'm holding my iPad. Here's the thing. I love a good story that involves interesting school systems and interesting teenage characters. That is part of the reason why Harry Potter was such a big hit for me. Also, some of my favorite movies like Dead Poet Society. I just love the whole thing of a very traditional school system and these teenagers rebelling against authority. Or in Harry Potter, I love the system of the houses and the uniforms and the scarves and the cloaks and the schedules, and they have to get to classes. And I love it when in this type of environments and in this kind of settings we see the school lifestyle. It's just very fun to see classes and teachers and how teachers are different from one another, the kind of homework that they do when they go to the library. Um, I'm, I know right now I'm becoming very self-conscious and aware of the fact that I am gushing about school in books as a form of entertainment, which is like the geekiest thing ever. But I'm sure that happens to a lot of people, not just me, that it's very fun to read books such as The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which involves a boarding school or what is it, like a private college or something. It's just really fun to read books about school. In The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, we find ourselves in a very uninteresting American small town called Henrietta in Virginia, I think. And here everyone is kind of middle class, but then there's the local private school called Aglionby or Aglionby, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But here all the stuck-up rich kids attend, and they are just so incredible to read about. They're just wonderful. And there's a group of 4 kids who go to the school called the Raven Boys, and one of them is kind of like their leader. He's called Gansey. He was my favorite character in the book. He was just fantastic. Gansey is sort of on a quest to find out a ley line, which is like a line of energy in which they can find the place where a Welsh king is supposedly buried underground, sleeping and waiting for someone to find him, and whoever finds this dead Welsh king is going to be granted some kind of favor. I'm realizing now, I didn't really have a lot of clarity about the plot as I was reading. It was until I finished it that I was able to piece everything together, all the pieces of information, and, make the puzzle. The plot was a little bit, not complicated, but hard to follow because something that Maggie Stiefvater does very well is she doesn't give you all the information that you need. She just slowly gives you information little by little until finally you have this big aha moments. And I found that incredibly satisfying, but it did give me a little bit of a hard time, just a little bit of confusion. That's what I felt when I was reading it. Like, why are these characters here? What are they doing here? What is it that they wanted? And that was just one of my cons from this book, but it's not a big one. So in this book we also meet a girl called Blue, and Blue is part of a family of psychics, but curiously enough she is the only one that doesn't have psychic abilities whatsoever. However, one night on St. Mark's, she sees a spirit, and it's the spirit of our boy, Gansey. And the prophecy dictates two things. First of all, that if Blue sees a spirit, like in this case with Gansey, it means two things. She is either going to kill him or fall in love with him. And the second part of the prophecy dictates that if Blue ever kisses her true love, he's going to die. So that kind of sucks. The premise of this book starts very, very grippingly with this sort of fate that is condemning everyone, Blue and Gansey particularly. But then we start meeting the Raven Boys, the rest of the Raven Boys. Adam, who is a wonderful character that you fall in love with. Noah, who is a kind of mysterious character until the very end, and you finally discover why Maggie Stiefvater was keeping him a mystery. And last but definitely not least, Ronan Lynch, who is a character that I believe is going to feature quite prominently on the second book in the series, and I cannot wait to find out how, because he is a most interesting, dark character. Something that I really enjoyed about this book was the characterization, because much like George Martin in the Game of Thrones series, these characters are never purely good or purely evil. They are never black or white. They are always gray, and they always have motivations for what they're doing and the way that they are. Also, these characters are just so damn interesting and so lovable that even the ones that you shouldn't like, you do like, and you enjoy reading about them so very much. The comedy in this book is also very prominent and very, just very much to my liking. I really enjoyed Maggie Stiefvater's writing style in this. This is the first Maggie Stiefvater book I've picked up, and I'm really satisfied with it. The writing style was very dreamlike, very eloquent. In some passages, it was really beautiful, really beautiful. In some others, it was just action-packed and very straightforward, very much direct to the point, and I loved it. I loved it. So I guess my biggest pro when talking about this book is the characters, because they are everything. And the biggest con, if I could mention one, the biggest downside is also the characters, because since this is the first book in a series, we can only expect it to be very introductory. So we get to know a lot about the characters, but not that much about the plot. This is definitely a book that will appeal more to people who enjoy character-driven books than plot-driven books. Now, that is not to say that this book doesn't have a very interesting, unique, original plot, because it does, and it's really action-packed, particularly towards the end. It's really a page-turner. This book is very, very fast and very easy to read. It is about 400 pages long, and I read it in just a couple of days. And yeah, it's just a book that leaves you wanting for more, and I'm so glad that I finally picked it up, because I had a big prejudice. I always have a prejudice when it comes to YA, because for some reason I always think that it's going to be the next Twilight, so I'm very resistant to pick it up. But this one, I'm very happy that I did. It's incredibly unique, and I cannot wait to pick up the second book, The Dream Thieves. So thank you very much for watching, and tell me your opinions on the Raven Boys. Just keep it spoiler free. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.